Hello, Internet, and welcome once again to the Free-to-Play cast brought to you by MMOBomb.com, your home for all things free-to-play related. Let's get a little more headroom there. Perfect! Alright, this is episode 243. I'm Mike Byrne, aka Magicman, coming at you with, well, bad news. And then, well, maybe some more bad news. And then some funny stuff that's related to bad news. So we got a lot of stuff to cover today on today's show. And joining me, as always, we've got the host. Now, we were going to record this yesterday, Wednesday the 16th. We're recording, or Wednesday the 15th. We're recording Thursday the 16th as normal. We were going to do yesterday so that Zach could be on the show, since he has to do Wednesdays. I was ill yesterday, so we were going to cancel the show for the week entirely and just pick it back up next week. But then stuff happened. And so we're going to try and get through a show here today with my stomach being uncooperative. So let's get started. Jason, how are you, sir?
I'm doing all right, and oddly, I'm wearing black, but I'm not the one in mourning, so...
Yeah, so, you know, Zach can only do the recording Wednesdays, and I let him know, hey, we're going to cancel, and then I went back just so there wasn't, like, a secret cast that he was like, wait a minute, I thought you canceled. I went back and said, hey, we're going to try and do it tomorrow if I'm feeling well enough, because we needed to get Troy on. Troy was supposed to be your week off. I appreciate you coming and doing the show today. I'm sure the viewers will appreciate it, too.
I don't know if I'm gonna make it through or not.
Well, on that note,
I don't know if I can handle it.
Let's get started with the news. A couple shows ago, we asked you as the question of the week, how long... How long would Marvel Heroes last on the PC? And we focused that question on the PC because I think all three of us and most of the internet felt that Marvel Heroes was definitely going to have a future on the console. It was receiving the updates. It was receiving the love. It was receiving the content, the events, while the PC players were kind of left behind. And then the allegations against the CEO, and then the silence from Gazillion, and it just kept piling up and piling up. So I think all of us generally thought, it'll survive for a while on the consoles, but is it going to survive on the PC? And we posed that question to the viewers, Jason, and generally most of them thought, right, it's not going to survive. But their predictions kind of were in line with ours, that probably a Q1 2018, Q2 2018. It's still got a couple of months. They'll let it go through the holidays at the least type deal. That turned out not to be the case.
Well, I mean, technically it's going to still be around past Christmas.
Maybe.
Yeah,
maybe.
no, they gave a date. They gave a date. I added that to our article later.
What's the date? What's the date?
December 31st. So,
No!
Technically past Christmas.
So between the two holidays, it will be shut off. It will be shut off. So December 31st. And that is across all platforms. So PS4 players, consoles, you're gone too. You're gone too. Now this kind of broke in a very weird order here. This kind of started with what was attributed to unnamed sources on Kotaku, made its way over to Massively OP, who reported on it. We were watching it too, but it really wasn't validated by much initially. Besides, the old "I have a source who says" that they don't want to be named. Then very quickly, we did get confirmation. Kotaku, Massively, we got our own confirmation too. We posed questions and all of that. But so here's the deal on what's all going down. The official statement: we regret to inform our Marvel Heroes fans that we have ended our relationship with Gazillion Entertainment and that Marvel Heroes games will be shut down. We would like to sincerely thank the players who joined the Marvel Heroes community and will provide any further updates as they become available. And then later on today, the Marvel Heroes team actually announced the December 31st and that they were now removing things, the ability to buy things from the game. Because this led to us asking the obvious questions to them. So we reached out to Gazillion PR, Jason, and said, can you confirm this, first off? Because at the point we got it, it was still kind of unsubstantiated. And I didn't even get a reply from the Gazillion PR contact we have.
There may not be a Gazillion PR anymore.
I got an email from a Disney representative who just said, I understand you contacted this person, and here's what we have to say. And it was the same statement that they had given Kotaku and everything, the exact same statement. And so I asked the follow-up question knowing that they weren't going to answer anything specific, Troy, like, you know, why is the partnership ending? They just weren't going to do that. But I did ask, hey, is this across all platforms? Because we were kind of unclear about that, even though the statement implied that it was across all platforms. And when, because I can see that the cash shop was still active, we didn't even get a reply. I mean, yesterday, literally, this was all that they were willing to say, Jason. But it did come as quite a surprise, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, now Troy's going to be the one to better offer up on this, but I mean, you know, when I did that thing a couple weeks back, the bomb poll about what game was going to shut down, you know, it's like, Marvel Heroes seemed to me, yeah, maybe it wasn't doing that great. Maybe it wasn't, you know, kicking ass all over the place. But it seemed like one of those kind of games that was at least chugging along, could exist in a maintenance mode or something like that. And despite the, you know, radio silence and so on, it still had to be bringing in some halfway decent money. It wasn't the game that, you know, there are those games that I had on that bomb poll and stuff like, yeah, no surprise that those shut down at all. But this seems like something that was at least coming along decently, could have existed for a while. We've seen MMOs like that just last for years beyond where we think they should. You know, I mean, Age of Conan was one of them. I think of like that. I think Troy said he's going to go back to Champions Online because nothing can kill that. You know,
nothing can kill that.
so yeah, I mean, just to see it go just to pull the plug completely like this, it was a little surprising. It leads me to wonder just what exactly went into that decision.
Yeah, and we're going to speculate a little bit on that in just a second, because I think there's two schools of thought here, and I'm still not sure which school of thought I fall into, and so we'll get your take on stuff like this. Troy, we got to bring you in. I mean, none of this was shocking. I think it was shocking the immediacy that it happened. And in Kotaku's original story, the sources were like unnamed former and current Gazillion employees who had basically validated things we already suspected or already knew, that within a year of the game's launch, there were like 3 rounds of layoffs or so. This week, several individuals who work on the game were just asked not to come into the office. People were working on things but didn't have confidence that they were ever going to actually be put into the game. So the writing has definitely been on the wall within the Gazillion offices for a while. Yeah. It leaked out over the last couple of months as we saw the PC version kind of slipping behind and the console version. It was splattered all over the internet when we heard no communication on anything, particularly accusations of some misconduct at high levels, and then boom, gone. So what's the train been like? All the comments I'm seeing are, as somebody who spent $400 in this, as somebody who's spent this many hours in this, totally saw this coming. I know from previous shows that you totally saw this coming, but did you see it coming out of nowhere like this? And what are your thoughts on the whole situation? I'm going to give you a few minutes. Don't take 3.5 hours and just give a full eulogy of the game like you did on your stream.
Oh, man. We didn't even play the game last night. We just sat and talked. And chat came in and gave their thoughts, and it was great. But, yeah, I mean, this isn't, you know, even thinking that probably the PC version wasn't going to outlast the console version, let's be honest. After the consoles really got going, it really looked like PC. It was just a matter of time. But what most of us thought would happen was Gazillion would shutter the PC version eventually, or put it in just straight up maintenance mode and just say, hey, it's in maintenance mode. And the console version would go on. Unfortunately, due to things that we'll speculate on here in just a few minutes, Disney just stepped in and just shut it all down. The console version, PC version, everything. That's the part that surprised me. The PC version leaving yet sooner than I thought it would have been, but at the end of the day, it sort of seemed like that's the track that the company was on. But when Disney steps in and just takes that out of their hands completely and just says, nope, you're done. That one definitely came out of nowhere. And with the radio silence the last 4 weeks, I guess that sort of softened the blow, I guess, if you want to say that, as far as the shock value of this happening. It was obvious some shit was going down, and then it was not good. Like you said, lots of folks on Reddit forums saying, I know a guy that knows this and knows that.
Right.
And at the end of the day, we can all but confirm, there were definitely folks former employees who knew what was going down. You could just look at Doomsaw, former creative director who's been gone from the company for a while now, took back to the forums over the past few weeks. And he hasn't been saying, hey, stuff's going bad at Gazillion, this is what's wrong. He's been doing things like, hey, let's say some nice things. What are your fond memories of the game and stuff like that? And those were the moments you're like, oh God, this is like not like we have no chance here. This is like Doomsaw knows they're done. They have to know they're done at this point. And so as of right now, it seems like there's one guy sitting in the office, Agent Pilot, who made an official forum statement last night and is still deleting threads left and right on the forums. I guess moderation never ends. So, yeah, everybody's gone. And to your point earlier about, we've got the December 31st day, but will it last that long? My feeling right now is if something was to happen to the server between now and then, there's nobody to go in there and fix it. So if it just dies, it's just going to die.
Well, I mean, they did entice players a little bit to keep playing, to at least have some fun in it. They of course, like you mentioned, give the official statement on the forums. And from Agent Pilots, I'll read those comments for you. We're sad to inform players that our entire Marvel Heroes family that Marvel Heroes Omega will be shutting down. The Marvel Heroes servers will stay open until December 31st. We'll be removing real money purchases as soon as possible. Players will be able to play the game entirely for free once this sunset period commences. We'll share the exact date things go completely free as soon as we can. We've had the privilege of entertaining and collaborating with our players for over 4 years. We're extremely humbled by that privilege and wanted to get this message out. Thank you. Thank you to our players, our tireless employees, and everyone involved in the life of Marvel Heroes 2015, Marvel Heroes 2016, and Marvel Heroes Omega. Do we really have to name...
That's a good enough reason to shut down right there, just to get rid of all that crap.
Like, it's such
I'm sorry, they've lost all sympathy with me now.
It's such like a nice official statement, knowing that, Agent Pilot obviously can't say certain things or answer questions on it. That's just not going to happen. This is just here's the date. We want to thank you. But at the end, Jason, it goes back to that thing we were talking about, PR again. Stop fucking it up with the last sentence. Like, every PR thing we've talked about in the last 3 months has been screwed by the last sentence.
Admittedly, it's not as bad as some of the other ones.
Right, yeah. This seemed like, did you really have to give all 4 names for, wait, 1, 2, 3, 4 names for what was the same game the entire time? As far as incentive to keep playing, if you want to check it out, they did announce that they're going to give 1,000 Gs for all PC players and will do so daily. All items will be 50 Gs. This is the best current solution we have with limited resources and technical limitations of the PC. And wanted to make sure this got out to you. Due to technical limitations of PC, we cannot make all store items available for Eternity Splinters, and we can't do this via a patch either. Presumably because there's nobody there to do the patch. There's also inventory technical game-breaking issues if we make everything available for 0 or 1. So currently all prices are reduced to 50, and each day you log in, you'll receive 1,000 Gs, game on. Yeah, which kind of led to a lot of replies that just said they already uninstalled it. But if you're still playing it, hey, you can go check out some of the stuff in the cash shop. Now, I have 2 questions here. Jason will pose the first one to you. What happens with Gazillion going forward here? Because if you look at their site, they have currently 10 positions that they're hiring for. They also have 2 games under their games library, one of which, obviously, Marvel Heroes going away. The other being Dexter Slice, which is a mobile game that has the current rating on there for the Android version is anywhere from 10 to 50,000 downloads. You know how they categorize them into chunks. So,
sure.
Arguably, 50,000, that ain't going to pay the bills for a developer. So what happens to Gazillion from here?
I think they go away, honestly. I mean, at this point, the one thing that I wonder about, or at the very least, they greatly downsize. And, of course, the big question is who's going to be in charge when it's all said and done.
Right. With the whole allegations thing, they still got to sort that out.
Right. I mean, my thought is, my totally speculative thought is that basically Disney learned about all that, told the CEO to step down. He said no, so they said, okay, screw you. We're canceling our license, and that he has enough power, has enough sway, and from what we saw when I looked into him a little bit, he's really good at getting money. He's really good at working out deals. So he will probably believe that he could still keep going, either with Gazillion or with a new company that he forms, and thought that there was no point of him stepping down when he has that kind of power, that kind of influence. So, yeah, it's all. I mean, it's really going to be all determined based on him and what he does, whether Gazillion goes on its own, or whether he just leaves and makes his own company. Either way, it's just not going to be Gazillion's not going to be a big deal, for the foreseeable future.
Troy, that leads to question 2. Jason kind of segued into it nicely, like he's a professional or something. Nicely done, sir. What caused this? Because there's really generally, broadly speaking, 2 schools of thought in why this partnership was severed. One, it's been brewing for a while here, and Disney was kind of, / Marvel, obviously, entering into this as well. May consider, hey, we don't want to renew certain licenses, particularly with the changes they're making to the Marvel Universe stuff and some of the contract negotiations that we've already seen be issues with Marvel in other places, notably film and games, that could be the case. Or, as Jason kind of pointed to, Disney looking and pulling, a Kevin Spacey. As soon as the allegations come out, everybody peels away. Did Disney react in that type of way here? There were allegations against the CEO of sexual misconduct. Disney peeled away. And I'm going to give you my impression just briefly, and Troy, I'll let you elaborate. I can't decide which camp I'm in, because I can see both of those. And yeah, it's really easy to say, all right, the CEO is accused of some things. Disney doesn't want to be a part of that, being Disney, being a rational human being, being somebody protecting your financial interests, and so they could peel out of that relationship. I get that reaction. What kind of leads me that maybe it's more than that is the fact that there was no Thor event. There have been things missing, notably missing for months now, particularly from the PC version. That is it a situation of Disney knew about those allegations a while ago and was laying the groundwork for this, and then the allegations became public and Disney had to pull the trigger? Or was the plan already being phased out and the allegations were the straw that broke the camel's back and Disney pulled the trigger? I can't decide which camp I'm in, Troy.
Let me give you some reasons why it's the latter, that these allegations, true or not, Disney wanted no part of it and just suddenly decided to pull out. First of all, the console licensing renewal is not that old. That game's only been launched for 5 months at this point. Look at those poor folks who poured hundreds of dollars, if not thousands of dollars, into Founders Packs for this game that you would reasonably assume is going to be at least around for a couple of years, right? 6 months later, by the time we get to December 31st, that game's going to be gone, all that investment gone. Secondly, we actually have now seen officially stuff for the Thor event. We've seen the Odinson, we've seen costumes, we've seen ability icons. All that stuff was there being worked on. This 4 weeks of radio silence, that's probably around the time Disney stepped in and said, you know what, we're stopping, and there were probably some talks along the way. But all that stuff exists in the game. All the stuff they promised for the future, we've seen Spider-Woman now. All off the whitelist server. The Odinson, the abilities, the icons, everything they were working on that they said they were working on does exist in some form. So it really comes across as when this PR nightmare hit, Disney at some point stepped in a few weeks back and started the negotiations, and then just eventually decided, you know what, we don't want any part of this. We don't want you affiliated with us. Folks are reaching out to us on Twitter, through Reddit, through YouTube, making videos, trying to get our attention as to what these allegations are for the head of this company. True or not, we don't want to be a part of that. And that's what makes me believe that they just suddenly pulled it, because they don't want to be a part of the PR nightmare, because all that stuff does exist. It is there. We have now seen it in the past 24 hours.
Jason, we also have employees and former employees saying there's been multiple rounds of layoffs, and we've reported on many of them. We were developing things that we didn't even know would see the light of day. These aren't new things going on, the unrest inside Gazillion. Do you, and of course, Troy, to your first point, canceling the console, well, that's, to me, yeah, okay, that's only been around a few months, and so it is a big deal to cancel the console, but I would not expect Disney to step in and say, we're going to cancel the PC and not, if they're pulling out of this for licensing reasons, for allegation reasons, whatever, they're going to pull out of the entire thing. So, I mean, the console, yeah, new, but doesn't seem to have more weight. Do you kind of agree with Troy, Jason, that this is more allegations-based, or are you in the camp of things have been going sour for a long time, and if the allegations play into it at all, it was just kind of a straw that broke the camel's back that was already dying to begin with?
Well, it's like I talked about it a little earlier, and again, Troy knows more for being active in the game and so on, but I say, like, a game can be not, an MMO can be not, kicking ass all over the place. It could still be, reasonably active and reasonably profitable, which is kind of how I think Marvel Heroes was. Again, Troy might have a better idea of that, but it seems like the sort of thing that could carry on for a few years. I mentioned Age of Conan, Champions Online, Lord of the Rings Online, games like that just kind of, churn along. And, again, with Marvel, being part of the Marvel license, getting those movie stuff every now and then, provide a little, influx of cash, and having just launched on console makes me think that, yeah, like you said, they at least thought they would keep going for a few years.
Right.
But then all the allegations came up. And, when that happened, if that happened on a really, really successful game, that sort of thing happened to World of Warcraft or something like that, World of Warcraft would keep going because it's still massively huge. Something that's maybe a little on the downturn.
Well, also not dependent on a license.
Sure, right. But, something that's on a little bit of a downturn, and that stuff happens, pile it all together. One or the other, it might not go away, but you combine them both, and I think that probably was enough to push it over the edge.
Obviously, our condolences and thoughts go out to a lot of Gazillion employees who, presumably, we don't know the fate of Gazillion as a company. I think we can make an intelligent guess, but we don't know for sure, and presumably there's going to be a lot of very, very good employees that got caught in this stupid crossfire that, to some extent at least, didn't need to be the case. And so we hope that they will get snagged up by other developers very soon, very soon. And if Gazillion can rebound as a company, whether that's under new leadership, I think it would have to be at this point. Like, I'm sorry, to me personally, if I'm a company, no, there's going to be new leadership going forward. If it rebounds, then, we'll be the first to report on the rebounding of Gazillion. Troy, I'm going to give you the final word here before we move on to other topics, whatever you want to say.
Just take your time. This is the first time I've ever had a game closed down that I cared this much about. I'm just going to be taking my time over the next month or so and just kind of slowly saying goodbye to it. And we have an opportunity to watch it sunset and not just have it taken from us like Firefall, which is what I was worried that was going to happen. We were going to get Firefall. I really thought we were.
It's now a verb, by the way. We were going to get Firefall.
So I'm just, at the end of the day, I'm not happy about all of this, but I am happy that at least we get an opportunity to log in and say goodbye. So, if you've ever enjoyed the game at any time, just say goodbye to it. And, if you're going to be angry, I'm going to be angry at some point too. But just remember the good times, because that's what we did on stream last night for 3.5 hours. We mourned it and we remembered the good stuff. So it was a game that a lot of folks had fun in, and quit bashing people who at some point had fun in this game. Jesus Christ, be a decent human being for once in your fucking life, please.
Says the guy who called everybody that's hyped for Bless. I like you on YouTube, by the way, on the whole Bless thing, or on the WoW thing. Everybody just wants a free WoW. Troy was like, "Prove it, motherfucker." That's not what I said.
It wasn't what I said.
Totally separate, but it just reminded me of that. All right. Oh, of course. This is probably my car.
Your car is calling you?
Yeah.
Is it Kit?
It is. It's my car.
Mike Byrne is actually Mike Knight. Holy shit.
Right. No, my Pathfinder's in for repairs, and so that's them calling me. They can wait. This stuff's more important.
You don't need a car, you got the internet.
Right. So, in other news, Lineage Eternal, which has been in development forever. Oh, okay. What the hell?
The professionalism of the show
do you intentionally set your stuff to be as loud as possible?
Seriously.
Like when my phone gets a message, it does it silently. I don't hear
it. So Lineage Eternal, which has been in development forever.
He's just gonna keep going, isn't he?
Yeah,
like
I am. I'm just gonna keep going. I don't know what's going on. Anyway. All right, they're done. Lineage Eternal, which has been in development forever, right? And then got put kind of on the back burner for a little while. A few months back, we reported that because they were going to shift the game's engine over to Unreal 4, which people were generally happy about. That thing has changed entirely. So now it's not even called Lineage Eternal anymore. It's referred to as Project TL. So at some point, we may see a different name. That's just what it's being referred to. There's a new teaser trailer, which we've watched. There's a new site. The game is kind of getting a pretty big overhaul, too, as far as things actually in-game, where they've said they wanted to make it some like more MMO-like, because it really had, ironically, had more of an ARPG, Marvel Heroes type feel to it, Diablo type feel to it. So, what are your thoughts, Jason? Good? Bad? Is this something I think Lineage fans will be happy to see, or are they going to be pissed off that now this is clearly going to be delayed even longer?
You know, we make fun of Bless for having heard about that for like 5 years. This goes back to when I was working at the magazine. Like, I remember putting this in articles in 2011 talking about Lineage Eternal.
Good grief.
So, I mean, geez, I don't know. I suppose they're still working on it. If they're revising the engine, it's going to happen someday. Although I looked back at an older article I wrote about Eternal and talked about how, you know, with as much as this is even before we saw the quarterly financials for NCSoft, talk about how, you know, they're how NCSoft has got that big, huge mobile game, that Lineage mobile game, and it's like maybe they're waiting to figure out how they can do some more mobile-ishy stuff for this too. So I don't know.
Yeah, and if you were a fan of the whole ARPG type style of Lineage Eternal, that's, to be clear, maybe that didn't come out entirely correctly, it's not going away. It still has a very ARPG feel. NCSoft just said they wanted to put in some more MMO elements of it, so whether that's, you know, skill progression, who knows at this point. Troy, what'd you think of the new Project TL reveal trailer? Is this one that's even on your radar?
This one actually has looked pretty cool for a while. The dropping of the Lineage name, at least for now, is a little odd to me. That's a pretty big name across the world. Maybe not as East. Much here, yeah. But yeah, you go over there, that's a huge name. So yeah, I mean, I'm still definitely interested, but kind of like Jason said, I mean, I'm not sitting here with bated breath, just waiting for the moment that's going to land, because God, I may be in a walker by the time I play that game.
Which comes first, this or Bless?
Ooh.
Oh, God bless, unfortunately.
Yeah, bless. Bless.
Yeah.
Bless. Speaking of things coming at some point, Ascent Infinite Realm also released a trailer. This is by Bluehole Studios. Set to be published by, what is it? I can never pronounce. Cacao, is that it? Cacao Games.
I don't know.
That's the team behind the publishing of Black Desert Online. So we got like a 6-minute trailer that admittedly the frame rate is awful. Did you guys watch this trailer? The frame rate is pretty bad.
Yeah,
pretty bad. It's kind of a steampunk fantasy MMO, and I mean, if you watch the trailer, particularly being a Final Fantasy fan, right? I mean, there were definitely some elements in there, Jason, that would appeal to Final Fantasy fans. Airships, these like mech-looking things as far as, you know, combat goes. But I can't tell if I'm excited for this, like I can't wait to get in there and check this out, or if watching the trailer, Troy, just made me go, this is going to be a mess. There is everything in this trailer. There's ground combat, there is aerial combat, it looks like there's a in-depth crafting system with even house building and things like that, and barrel races that reminded me of Lord of the Rings Online, Jason, you know, with hobbits in barrels floating down rivers, except they were just rolling down hills. I mean, there's something for everybody in this trailer, no doubt.
Which means there's probably nothing for everyone.
Right. You know, is it going to be that jack of all trades, master of none? I think the game could look gorgeous. This trailer didn't do it any favors on that front, particularly given the frame rate. It was gameplay, so that was good to see. But then when you say it's gameplay and the frame rate sucks, Troy, that makes you go, wait a minute. So I don't know. I've mixed feelings on this one. What did you guys think? We'll start with you, Troy.
If you can't get your trailer right, why would I expect you to get anything else right? Is all I got to say. Yeah, I'm sure it's going to look pretty. I mean, I've got interest. I mean, I would be willing to check it out. But man, I got to tell you, I would go in with very low expectations at this point. I mean, just honestly.
And it's set to go into beta in Korea later this year, with a release here in the West sometime next year. Jason, your thoughts?
I mean, yeah, it at least looks a little different from your typical Korean MMO. I mean, it's got gender locking, so we know it's one of the required elements is there.
Right. I liked that, by the way. They were touting like this, lots of customization, and then when you go and look at the website and you pick on the classes, if the website is 100% factual and not, hiding some information, those classes are gender locked.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God!
So there's some customization for you.
I can't stand that. I don't know. I mean, I know that's one of those little things that some people don't care about.
Yeah, I don't.
But that's just one of the things that instantly I'm just like, God, just screw this. Like gender lock. Why? There's just no need for that. I hate that. It's an instant turnoff for me.
So Jason, you're kind of in the middle on this one. You're just gonna hold pat and wait to see what happens.
Middle low, certainly. I mean, I have to wait and just see how the gameplay works out. How does all that stuff integrate, and how big of a grind is it? So I won't completely discount it, but meh.
So here's the question: it's Bluehole Studios, which Terra, right, is probably the most well-known here, particularly in the West, of their creations, which started as buy-to-play with a sub, is now free-to-play. The publishers, Cacao Games, which Black Desert Online, arguably the most marquee name under their banner, which started as free-to-play and then decided before launch to go to buy-to-play, and still to this day has a buy-to-play fee to buy the game, but no subscription. We're covering the game because who knows? With that combination of companies, we're presuming, kind of like we did with Overwatch, right? The genre, the companies, it leans more towards free-to-play, so we're going to cover it until we hear otherwise, which is what we do with a number of titles, Overwatch being a pretty marquee example of that. But make a prediction. Buy-to-play, with a sub, without a sub, free-to-play. What do you think, Jason?
I'm going to go buy-to-play, both from the Black Desert influence, and also because Bluehole also now does PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, so which is essentially a buy-to-play game. So, right. And Terra, like you said, started off as buy-to-play with a sub, and they made it later. So maybe it won't be. Maybe it'll change at some point, but I think they'll probably launch as buy-to-play.
No sub?
Maybe with an optional sub. Not
no,
sub.
Don't. No, I mean a required sub. Every game does an optional sub. Okay.
Nobody's stupid enough to do that these days.
Except Squeenix, I guess. Go ahead, Troy.
Yes.
Oh, man. I was leaning more free-to-play myself just because I would think Bluehole would maybe consider this more in line with Terra itself, and maybe they consider themselves more successful as a free-to-play company. It just kind of depends how much say do they really have when the game gets over here. So Jason made some compelling arguments for buy-to-play, and Black Desert Online does help open the door for that, I believe. But I think at the end of the day, Bluehole is going to push really hard for free-to-play. Whether or not they can actually get that from the developer is going to be the question.
I hope for free-to-play, but I'm kind of leaning a little more towards buy-to-play with no sub, simply because of the publisher. Yeah. So we'll see. Let us know what you think down in the comments below. Really briefly, we posted a first look today on Ironsight, a first-person shooter that just went into closed beta under Area Games. Troy, give us your summation. You're the one that did the first look last night.
Game runs excellent. Game looks decent. Gameplay is pretty fun. Cash shop seems fair, at least at the moment, like day 2 of closed beta. Cash shop seems pretty fair at the moment. The thing that I brought up in the first look was, it's fine. But like there's a dozen of these, there's 10 dozen of these out there. It's generic. There's an aspect of drones and abilities you can use to put little robots out in the world and call down strikes and stuff like that are pretty cool. But at the end of the day, it's just another shooter. I mean, if you're looking for one, this one does an excellent job of it. But if you're looking for this, you're probably already playing at least one of these. So, I mean, it's just hard to really say anything extraordinarily good about it because it's just like mostly like every other one out there.
Yeah, I kind of got the same impression watching your first look, that this was a pretty average first-person shooter, going to hit the middle-of-the-road audience. Some people are going to take to it. Others are already playing something else, and there's not enough to pull them away from that game. So I kind of agreed with your assessment. Jason, did you even watch it? I know I just posted it today, so you may not have had a chance.
I haven't seen it, but I've written news articles about it, looked at the trailer and so on. And yeah, I kind of agree with the notion. It looks decent, just from what little bits I've seen. I might give it a try someday if I really feel like a shooter, just to have something a little newer than the older stuff that's out there. So yeah.
Yeah, I think I said that in the first look. If you're looking for a shooter, there's no reason not to try this one out first.
Yep, I agree. There's just nothing that's going to pull you away from a shooter that you're already playing that you really like. And because somebody was mad in the YouTube comments last week because we didn't talk about Mu Legend, it went into open beta. I mean, that's really all we could have said about it. I did a first look.
It's really pretty.
I did a first look months ago. We did a full review of that first look in the beta phases on the free-to-play cast after that. So really the only update was that it's now in open beta. Check it out if you want. To finish off today, StarCraft II throwing a little shade.
Oh my God, I can't believe this.
And at first, I thought this was kind of funny. I saw the article, then I saw over the next 24 hours the tweets go out. So, of course, you have the whole Star Wars II Battlefront, Star Wars Battlefront II fiasco and uproar over the lockboxes being the progression system. And we're not going to rehash that whole thing there. It's stupid. It sucks. Fuck it. That is the worst system that I've ever seen by far. It makes Destiny's somewhat shady psychological influence pale in comparison to me. And I have played both. I'm not just talking about I read reports and I'm giving you an opinion. I've been in-game on both of these for quite some time on both of these now. But I thought it was funny that StarCraft II went free-to-play. That happened 2 days ago. Then they started throwing shade with a trailer that had a father teaching his son about his history of you don't pay to get better in games. And everything was really funny. Then there was some really funny tweets, Jason, and you covered them, and it was, a good time was had by all, right?
Yeah. Let's see, what was one of them? It was, they went into all sorts of number of hours to do this, number of hours where you can play any co-op commander in StarCraft 2, 0. Number of hours it takes to earn the full campaign, Wings of Liberty campaign, 0. Number of pay-to-win mechanics in the game, 0.
Of course, all of these coming right on the heels of the Reddit backlash with Battlefront 2, so throwing direct shade at EA/DICE here. So I thought it was funny at first, and then I had, 8 seconds to think about it. And I said, you know what? I really like them. That's great. And then I thought about it for just a few seconds, and I was like, wait a minute. This is Activision Blizzard throwing shade at EA for loot boxes / arguably pay-to-win stuff. And they do Overwatch, right? I mean, and Jim Sterling, like him or not, I love this episode of the Inquisition this Monday, throws a lot of the current loot box controversy on Overwatch, acknowledging that, yes, they have previously existed for a long time, but the mass popularity of Overwatch leading to future games trying the buy the game and buy the loot boxes thing. But they also do Call of Duty too, right? I have the same companies here, right? Where we've seen videos of the loot boxes being dropped in-game so that other people can see you.
And there's a quest. There's a mission or whatever to watch people open their loot boxes.
Yeah.
They also do...
Get an achievement to watch. You have to make a point if you want this to watch other people open these loot boxes. Oh, my God.
They also do Destiny 2, which... decided shaders were going to be consumable and now in a RNG loot box. And by the way, we'll give you a couple of them free in game, but you got to go talk to the lady that you could buy them from to open them. Psychological influence. Hey, you could buy these. You could buy these. You could buy these. Just click a little higher up than you're going to click. And granted, I will give you, yes, different developers. This was Blizzard, StarCraft 2, tweeting, and I'm sorry, you're the same umbrella.
Yeah.
The company is Activision Blizzard. You also did Overwatch, right? I mean, you guys... I just kind of thought, wow, that's really funny, and then had 8 seconds, Troy, to go, this probably isn't the company to be throwing that type of shade. And maybe I'm being a little critical there, and you guys can talk me off the ledge. I just thought, after a few seconds, this really wasn't as funny as I initially thought it was, Troy.
Yeah, I mean, if your company was StarCraft 2, these would be hilarious and adorable. And they're still hilarious. I still laugh every time I watch that trailer. But your company is not StarCraft. That game, yes, that game absolutely can poke fun at things like that. But like you said, the problem is that game is synonymous with the rest of your company. It's like you can't say StarCraft 2 without thinking Blizzard. And nowadays you can't say Blizzard without thinking Activision. The name is Activision Blizzard.
Yep.
That's the name of the whole company. So yeah, it's hypocritical. Pot calling the kettle black there, bros. That being said, it was still hilarious. I love the trailer.
They were funny. I can't deny the humor, Jason, but the messaging, the branding, is it really appropriate coming from that company?
I don't care. The video was good. I liked it.
All right, fine. Then let's get to one that you might not like. Also in loot box controversy was Guild Wars 2's mount system, which, by the way, they finally released an official statement on the forums, which was basically like, yeah, in the future maybe we won't do this, but we're not changing anything.
No, we asked for that, by the way. We asked for those RNG loot boxes.
Yeah, yeah. And so as if, you know, this was the best time. Hey, we're getting a lot of attention right now. Let's try and sell some merch. Is basically is basically the attitude that ArenaNet kind of took, right, Jason?
Yeah, because they're announcing a sale or a deal with their merch store, which is where you get physical things like hoodies or coffee mugs, whatever, with Guild Wars 2 themes on them and so forth. And over the Thanksgiving and Black Friday weekend, if you spend $50 or more in that store, you'll get an in-game item, an egg you can open for, wait for it, a random miniature.
Could you possibly even try to be more tone deaf right now?
I know. Like, granted, all right, yeah, it's RNG, but the thing's a little freebie.
Yeah,
okay,
like,
fine. I don't think anybody cares about that, and that's not what we're talking about. Please, YouTube, don't read it into that way, that, oh my god, the freebie is RNG. We're talking about the audacity to come out and try to sell merch, actively sell merch, with a loot box attached to it. After the loot box controversy, like, I got the email, the press release, Jason, and I sent it to you, but to write up. But before I did, I almost considered replying, "Are you sure you want this advertised right now?" Like,
I wrote it.
I didn't, but it took me like 10 minutes to not send an email saying, "Are you guys out of your damn minds?"
See, and I wrote in Skype chat. I had to make sure I wasn't off my rocker. I was like to you guys, does this just sound wrong? A little off right now, or am I the only one getting this notion?
Oh my god, just fantastic PR. Well, all right, that's the news. Let us know what you think of some of those stories in the comments below. Let's slide over and finish today up with the weekly bombs. Since we're already talking about it, I'll go first. My A-bomb is to seriously bad PR for the second time this year. Seriously, guys, just hire me. I'll bring Jason with me. We will bang out your PR department. We will do your gaming PR for you. ArenaNet and EA Dice, I'm particularly looking at you guys this week, and now Marvel Heroes a little bit. But this isn't just you. This is, like, seriously becoming a problem where there's just not even any forethought put into what comes out. So, yeah, let us do the PR from now on. Jason, go ahead.
You know, you mentioned Marvel Heroes 2 reminds me when massively got a little bit of a response to them, and it said, yeah, and these allegations are just completely from random people saying crap.
Yeah. And, well, we covered that on the show. The first 2 paragraphs were fine, and then we said they should have stopped right there. Because the last paragraph in the response was basically like, you can't trust what you read on the internet.
Then come to find out, some of those random people turned into Disney lawyers.
Go ahead, Jason.
I'm giving a dub on to Path of Exile, which I've gotten back into the last few days after playing around with it a few years ago and being sort of meh about it. But all these interviews I keep doing with Chris Wilson at Grinding Gear, he just pipes me up so much every time they have a new expansion, which they have a new one coming out, which I can talk about now because the embargo drops in like 2 hours after this recording. So make sure you don't put up the video then. But
no, it's going up tomorrow. You're fine.
Okay. All right. So we got that. We got an interview with him on the latest thing coming out next time. And I decided to jump back into the game. I know I hate ARPGs. I hate all the clicking, but trying to keep it at a reasonable level. I only do a little bit every day, so definitely it's good. I've heard that's good, and lo and behold, it is.
That's ironic. I got the Xbox One X, the Scorpio thing, and so I was checking out the shops and everything that was available on there. And for some reason, okay, you know what? I'm going to jump back into Path of Exile. Just this week, I did the same thing, so I've been playing it on the console.
And another guy that I follow, another streamer that I follow and talk to, he decided to get back into it like 3 days ago, too. So it's just like, it's Path of Exile week. We're not even playing this.
Go ahead, Troy.
I'm going to give a dub bomb to the good times and the memories from Marvel Heroes over the years. Just remember the good stuff. I got lots of awesome, fun memories with friends, with pugs, with other streamers. Just lots of good stuff to remember. So dub bomb to the good times.
From the viewers this week, we've got Cold Fired 1080. Oh, this can't be. This got to be a relative. Coldfire 1080 says, dub bomb to Noob Fridge. That is all. And tell your mom that it was very nice of her to watch the Playcast.
Thank you for hanging out the past couple of weeks, Coldfire. I appreciate that.
Go ahead, Jason.
Nisogra says, the reason why layoffs happen around this time of year is to help balance the books in what is usually the least productive time of the year because so many people take off time for the holidays. For example, all employees on my project had to take some furlough days in Q4 because the project is short on funds. It sucks, but it's just the way the corporate world works.
It is true.
Now, it's interesting, too. We didn't mention like the financials for NCSoft, but yeah, Guild Wars 2, maybe the expansion didn't do that hot for them, so that could be a reason why some of that stuff's going down.
Go ahead, Troy. Got to sell more hoodies, I guess.
Reverend Nemtub, the bomb to Digital Extremes and Warframe. They were nominated for Best Ongoing Game by the Game Awards. It might not win simply due to more people playing Overwatch, PUBG, Destiny 2, but who knows for sure. I remember back in 2014 when a certain MMO news website held an ultimate free-to-play showdown contest and Warframe emerged the victor.
I do remember that. Breckner Caitlin, A-bomb to all the free-to-play games that joined Steam during the last year. Most of them are crappy mobile ports or games that were probably made in one night by a drunk student. We agree.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jason.
Ben Lemon says, I don't blame you, Mike. I never heard the song prior to your show. I have Dredica saved in my browser because my son loved it. I have dance videos of him from about age 2 to 4. He is 4 now. Lol.
Yep, that was me dancing at the beginning of the show last week to our theme music. Go ahead, Troy.
Victor Alkaiser, apology accepted, and yeah, I might have went just a little too gung-ho in my retort to you guys' statements about Dauntless. So I'm sorry as well. Also, I actually do write fantasy novels, Mike. Nothing published yet, but it'll happen one day.
Well, you got a customer right here, especially if it's Dauntless fiction. I'm glad my apology was accepted. I accept yours. Happy holidays. Question of the week last week, what has been your favorite weapon in all of your MMO gaming and why? Elusive X Treasure says, for the question of the week, that's a tough one. Can I pick two? Well, I'm gonna. First one would be a fist weaving from World of Warcraft. It was Mistweaver Monk's passive ability to heal while dealing. With it, I overgeared my monk and punched my way through dungeons while keeping the party topped off until I got the axe with Legion. Rest in peace with fist weaving. The second would be Jump and Super Jump from Final Fantasy XI's Dragoon. What's more fun than hopping on a mob's head? P.S. Welcome to the club, Marvel Heroes players. Hopefully you'll get a better send-off than City of Heroes did. And if NCSoft's troubles were because of City of Heroes fans, good. Well, Marvel Heroes fans are already get it because they get to play it for a little while longer and know it's coming, so they are already one leg up. Go ahead, Jason.
Angira says, best weapon ever has to be the plunger and toilet seat lance in the original Monster Hunter.
That was pretty amazing. Go ahead, Troy.
Pixelated Donkey, longbow in most games, even SP ones, mainly in Guild Wars 2, Dat Arrow Rain. Unrelated, but how long does everyone give Respawn before the new owners, EA, shut them down? I give them at most one game. The Titanfall 3 loot box controversy will possibly be the end of that company.
Yeah.
Miko and Cookies. If this keeps up, we'll be buying loot boxes for food. That's a scary thought. I hope I get 5 kilograms of rice. All right, Miko, good luck on that. Question of the week, my favorite weapons were chakrams. Throwing those magic glaives makes me feel as manly as Xena. Little Princess Warrior reference there. Go ahead, Jason.
Valdez Nichols says, favorite weapon in the MMO at the moment is Warframe. Let me count this as an MMO.
You can.
Warframe Arca Plasmor. It's a shotgun that can clear a whole hallway in one shot.
Yeah, and Warframe hits again. Go ahead, Troy.
Reverend Namtub again for the question of the week. Yeah, I'm predictable. A Warframe weapon. The Snipetron Vandal is my fave because it's the only sniper in any game that I'm not complete garbage with. More so, the weapon was awarded to players back in 2013 during an in-game event. It wouldn't be obtainable again for about 3 years. Lastly, the weapon is not supposed to exist or otherwise behave the way it does because of lore regarding the enemy faction that the weapon comes from. Sorry if that was confusing. Thank you, guys. It's always great to listen to your podcast.
Thank you for the compliment. I don't think it was confusing at all. Ahmed Bearbash says, played Rift. My favorite ability was Sprint, which is a limited time 50% speed boost that I combine with my AoE damage cone ability so I can tag all the mobs before anyone monopolizing aggro and pull them away. If they survive long enough for my party to catch up, 9 times out of 10 times top DPS, guaranteed. I always use it to spin around people in PvP, but I can't tell which is more annoying. I kind of hate you. You're one of those people that spins me around in PvP. I love you, but I hate you. Go ahead, Jason.
Mortam says, favorite weapon was a JAME blaster prototype for Anarchy Online. I decided I want an assault rifle in my metaphysicist because it would be awesome. Spent an entire day running group missions, over 30 of them solo to get the cash, and bought one from another player. Great time MMO gaming. She still has it today, even though I don't play anymore.
Nice. Go ahead, Troy.
Tickle2399. Favorite weapon ability has to be Fire 4 from Final Fantasy XIV. Who doesn't like to see a mini nuke go off when you cast what is pretty much your basic spell? Honorable mentions to Foul and Triple Cast.
LFA says 2 weapons for me. First, a giant 2-handed axe. I mean, it looks as big as how much it's gonna hurt. And if you get hit by it, it's either because the wielder's very skilled, or you're just dumb enough to get hit by something so lumbering. Another one, gauntlet types of weapons or fists like monks, mostly because I want to aura some faces. Question of the week. This week, what's your favorite MMO class? Individual class. Don't say healer or, category like that. We want individual classes. Tell us about them a little bit in the comments below. Make sure you put your weekly bombs, da bomb for something good, a bomb for something bad, and of course your feedback on our topics in the comments below. Until next week, Troy, thank you so much for jumping in here today. Where can everybody find you?
Twitch.tv/noobfridge. Once I hit the mad stage of my grieving, you're probably going to want to be there for that.
Jason.
Yeah, I hope you don't rend your clothes in grief because they have rules against that on Twitch.
but that's how I get all the subscribers.
Sure. Okay. Anyway, find me on Twitter at Winter Informal. My streams are at twitch.tv/JasonWinter, and they are family friendly, except for all the times I say fuck.
Fully clothed.
Yeah.
I'm Mike Byrne, aka Magic Man. You can follow me personally on Twitter at MagicMan1. Of course, more importantly, while you're there, follow at MMOBomb so you can get all the news, giveaways, first looks, free-to-play casts, interviews, previews, and more sent right to you on your Twitter feed on a daily basis. Until next week, stay safe. We'll see you on the servers.